Hey, what's up everyone? Zeta Flare here, and today I want to do a post DLC critique of Sonic Frontiers. Now, this isn't going to be a large, like 30-minute to an hour video, just a small collective critique of everything after playing the base game and then playing Final Horizon. So basically just my thoughts on Frontiers as an entire package. So first on my list, I have the cosmetics. Now, the cosmetics in Frontiers are very much limited. You really didn't have many cosmetics. There was only like what, 4 to 5 total? And even then, after their Final Horizons release, there was no cosmetics for Tails, Knuckles, or Amy. So that was really unfortunate. So for the next Sonic game, I think there should definitely be way more cosmetics. And I feel like Sonic has been lacking in the cosmetic department ever since it was introduced in Sonic Colors Ultimate. You could only customize Sonic's shoes, his gloves. That felt very limiting. And yeah, it was a little bit better now because like the Rathalos skin and like the soap shoes and the treasure gear and all that, but it's still not much better. It's only better by a small margin, in my opinion. So next up, we got the multiple playable characters. Sorry for that, I'm going off script. But I think they're good. If you don't count combat, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, they're all really good. You know, it's fun to glide around as Knuckles, even if his turns are like really wide, but I'm glad that they patched that and made it more snappy. But you know, they're all fun to control. I like Amy's triple jumps. I like that she can do her little stomp and then like have like a bit of airtime and then double jump and all that. I like Tails' mech and all that. That's all cool. The problem arises when most of the moves are only really built for exploration and not for the combat. Because if you try to fight any enemy, especially pre-patch, you would literally have to avoid any guardian that you come across. If you try to fight Spider as maybe Tails or Amy, you literally don't have a winning chance because none of their moves are really designed around the combat of Frontiers. Knuckles is really your only fighter besides Sonic, honestly, and that's mostly because he has a debuff parry that reduces defenses, so he's pretty much carried by that alone. Because even with him, his moves don't really chain together well despite being, you know, the brawler archetype. You know, Sonic has the speed, but Knuckles is supposed to have, you know, the power. So yes, the debuff does make sense, but at the same time, I feel like they should have fleshed out the combat a little more. And overall, I think the multiple playable characters were a neat addition. I like seeing Tails, Knuckles, and Amy after so many years of them just not being able to be played in literally any Sonic game. So again, it's just so nice to be able to finally play these characters after so long. And that's really it. I don't really have anything else to add. So let's move on to the next point, which is polish and bugs. So I think one of the biggest things that everybody knows about since launch was definitely the sheer amount of poppin' in Sonic Frontiers. Like, you get used to it, it doesn't become an issue, but it is very, very jarring when you're playing it for the first time to just see things off to the distance popping in out of nowhere. And the weird thing is that they have like this thing where like you'll see like this blue sci-fi type of thing like kind of fade in before the object, and then like it has like a little blue thing and then the object comes in. I think you guys know what I'm talking about if you play the game. Like, you know, that little valley in Ares Island, like something like that. And it's strange that they didn't really do that for all the objects in the game, because if they did that, then it would kind of cover up the pop-in, honestly. And yeah, that's really it for polish and bugs. But yeah, there's also a lot of bugs. It's not as ridiculous as maybe Sonic 06 or anything like that, but the bugs are definitely there. Next, we have the animations. So in the animation department, I think this is definitely a step up. I think the characters look way more expressive and all that, but I think they can definitely do a bit better. I think they mostly focused on the Titan fights in terms of animations, which, I mean, why wouldn't they? Titan fights need to have a lot of spectacle and all that. But in the animation department, there's some really lows, honestly, for lack of a better term. And I don't know, I just feel like the animation should be more fine-tuned, especially in gameplay. Actually, cutscenes, okay, they're fine, they look neat or all that, but animations in the open world, I don't mind a bit of snappiness, but they're a little bit too snappy. If you do the slightest turn, Sonic would just instantly go to that position, and I feel like that's a little too snappy. I feel like there should be like a little bit of flow between like the poses. And like, I really don't like Sonic's run cycle in this game. It looks so ugly. I mean, like when he's boosting it looks fine, but when he's just running normally, it doesn't look good. And yeah, the problem with Frontiers' animations, and I think this really started with Forces, but it still applies here. The problem is that they're not really putting much like in between stuff. I'm not really an animator, so I don't know the terms of like, I think it's called like in between frames. Like Sonic will just snap to a position in game, and there's not really much transition to it. He just snaps to one position, and it just makes the game look a little bit unpolished. Some animations are good, but overall, I think like the animation can be a little bit of a mixed bag, especially in the gameplay of Sonic Frontiers. Now, another point is the cyberspace. Cyberspace at base was, let's be honest, it wasn't really good. Too many copied stages from older games, which, yes, I appreciate the references, but at the same time, I like more originality in my games, And it didn't help that the aesthetic was literally the exact same things you saw before. It's literally just Green Hill, Chemical Plant, Sky Sanctuary, and some city level. That's really all you're getting, and that's such a shame because Sonic is pretty much well known for unique aesthetics. There's City Escape, there's Green Hill. Yes, even though I just mentioned it, but before it was starting to get overused and all that. Green Hill still has some great stuff in it. There's Radical Highway, there's Sand Oasis, there's so many unique environments throughout the entirety of Sonic, but I think Frontiers was definitely lacking in the environment department. Which brings me to my next point, the unique environments. This is one of my biggest problems with Frontiers, because you go from grass, desert, volcano/ice, and then grass again. And the progression kind of feels like, I'm not trying to like diss Mario here, but the progression kind of feels like a Mario game, where specifically New Super Mario Bros. Like I just hate the progression in that game because it's really just the same thing throughout the whole series. Just grass, desert, jungle, forest, tropical beach, rocky mountains, and all that. And it gets really old really quickly. And I feel like Frontiers could definitely benefit from unique environments, because if you take away all the ancient structures, all the little rock Jenga things, all the sci-fi stuff, it's really just grass and rock from Unreal Engine. Like, there's not really much if you just remove the stuff that the ancients have. Like, the layouts are definitely unique, but in terms of the themes, not really, because it's not like you're combining themes. You only, well, for Chaos you do, but for the majority of them, nah, you're not combining any of them. And my last point here is a unique art style. I feel like we've been stuck with the same semi-realism, which I really don't mind. The adventure games do that too. I don't mind it, but man, do we need an art style? I would love a cel-shaded Sonic game similar to Yuji Iwakawa's style. I feel like Sonic is definitely lacking in style because games have basically been looking the same since Sonic Unleashed, but just more and more and more downgraded. And I feel like Sonic definitely needs a new revamped look. Like, I don't think it can be staying like this for long because it's really, and I mean really, getting stale, especially since Frontiers doesn't really have unique environments. But that was only the bad things that I disliked about Sonic Frontiers. Let's now move on to the good things. So first off is the Titan fights. I really enjoyed every single Titan fight except for Supreme before the Final Horizon update, but every fight as a whole was really, really good. And all the designs of each Titan was also just splendid. You know, Giganto looks intimidating. He's massive, has a giant row of teeth, and you know, I feel like they really, really nailed the designs of each Titan. You know, Wyvern is a flying serpent. You know, it's able to shoot out its missiles, also has a very intimidating row of teeth. You know, I'm really starting to notice that they have very, very sharp hygiene, to say the least. But Knight isn't the same as the rest. He has this weird mask, has a little roller skates at the bottom, and they all stand out from each other. None of them look the exact same. You know, Giganto is the most human looking one, but it still looks odd because it doesn't really have, you know, like feet or toes, as weird as that sounds, but it's huge. You know, Giganto, giant, you know, that was probably a no-brainer. Wyvern, it's, you know, a dragon type of thing, you know, a serpent, it flies in the air, you know, kind of like a mythical wyvern back in medieval times. And then on finally Knight, it has a sword, has a shield, you know, very easy to understand. You know, I will kind of say that for other enemies, the names are kind of not creative, like Bang, that wasn't really creative, but I think the Titans definitely have really, really creative names and creative designs. Lastly, Supreme, you know, the fourth and final Titan, he is a reskin of Giganto, just like kind of like those, the white variant of Kronos Island Enemy is just a white variant of Giganto. But I think Final Horizon definitely gave him a glow up because, I mean, it was cool that Supreme had a jetpack and a giant gun, but besides that, it didn't really use the gun or the jetpack that much. And it was just kind of lackluster. But I think the fact that Supreme had multiple arms in the Final Horizon definitely made it more unique and stand out more from Giganto. So next is Sonic's controls. I think this is the best that Sonic has controlled in a 3D environment, especially in the open world. And after they added the spin dash, I feel like the movement for Sonic was just even better. Spin dashing off of ramps and just doing whatever, just running around feels so good. And that's why I kind of want these islands or whatever they want to make in the next Sonic game to be even bigger, so that it's just one big playground for Sonic to run around in with these type of controls. I really want that because, God, these controls are so good and it's just so fun running around, doing random stuff around all the islands, honestly. It's awesome. And sorry about that phone notification. So, another thing I like is the story and characterization. My goodness, this is probably the first time since Black Knight, since we have a serious story. You know, ever since the 2010s, it was always just dry, just meta humor that really didn't work and just wasn't really fun. Just no. But now we have actual character development. We have compelling character arcs. You know, Sonic is back to being how he should be, and you know, it's all really nice. And I really, really appreciate Sonic Team bringing Ian Flynn, someone that really knows how to work with Sonic and all of the Sonic characters. I really appreciate him being brought to work on an actual Sonic game. And you know, there's just so many good moments in Frontiers, like when they Sonic and Amy witnessed that flashback with one of the Asians, you know, and Amy is just kind of like, you know, kind of hurt by it, and the voice acting also really, really helps in this game. You know, deep voice Sonic was a little bit weird at the start, but I feel like this definitely, and I mean definitely works for Sonic. But again, in terms of art style, I feel like they should change the model, because I don't know, the Force's model just doesn't really work with Roger Craig Smith's, you know, voice. But yeah, just so many good moments and really impactful climactic ending from Final Horizon. The story and characterization of each of the characters that we have is great. And you know, Sage too, I like her character arc and how she just grows and develops as a character, from pretty much resenting Sonic and his friends as she doesn't really know about their good nature, to actually being well acquainted with them, seeing them as not really complete enemies, but just, you know, something besides just people that are trying to oppose her father, Dr. Eggman. You know, it's a similar vein to Shadow, how Shadow was devastated by the loss of his friend, but by the end, he was able to see Sonic as an equal. It's pretty similar to that. Another pointer I have is the music. This is a very, very good soundtrack. It has lo-fi, drum and bass. You know, it has a few different genres, but it goes for an overall tone of, you know, piano and all that. And I cannot tell you enough how much I listen to one of the Kronos Island movements. I can't remember which one it is, but my god, that movement was so good. Or the Starfall Island theme, even though it was used in Arenos Island in the base game. My god, that theme was really brilliantly composed, and the remix themes of Horizon were also great, and the original tracks in there too. You know, I think Blood Flow and Second Wind are my favorite, but even then, Tails and Amy's movement themes are really, and I mean really, really good. You know, all the music in this game slaps, and how can I say that without mentioning the Titan themes? The Titan themes are probably the pinnacle of Sonic Frontiers, you know? Like, everybody, you cannot go a day without someone at least mentioning once, at least one Titan theme, you know, whether it was Undefeatable, whether it was Breakthrough at all, whether it was Find Their Flame. You would not go a single day without someone mentioning at least one part of the lyrics from it. You know, it was just great. And that leads me to my next point, the hype. My goodness, what a transformation from being teased after, I think, Sonic Colors Ultimate, if I'm recalling correctly, to now. You know, the journey this game has had it's just remarkable, honestly. You know, and that also ties into my other point, which is like the DLC journey, but just like the whole entire journey was just, you know, it was very, very hype. You know, people were a bit skeptical at the start. They were like, this game isn't really gonna be good, you know, it looks kind of jank and all that, but it turned out to be a pretty good Sonic game in the last few years. You know, Sonic Frontiers is probably the biggest success that Sonic even has had in quite a while now. It sold a whole lot of copies, you know, Sega's back on track since they're bringing back the old IPs due to Frontier's success, and you know, you just love to see it. And that also goes to the DLC. You know, the DLC was it was just brought, and what am I saying? Okay, what I want to say is the DLC was phenomenal. You know, first there were pretty minor updates, but I think update 2 definitely just changed Frontiers as a whole because of the spin dash alone. You know, just again going off ramps, just going off and getting insane height from the slightest incline. It's just so cool to see. And then Final Horizon just to wrap the whole thing up, and then just, you know, a small patch after Final Horizon. You know, this year and a little bit of 2022 were just some of the best years Sonic has had ever, period, in the whole history of this franchise, in my opinion. You know, the journey overall from launch / being teased all the way to now is incredible, and I can't believe this game is already 1 year old. You know, I still remember getting this game back in Christmas for my Xbox One, and you know, playing it a lot. And I think I finished it before Christmas break ended for me, since I had to, you know, go back to school and do all that. But I finished it before Christmas break, and I really enjoyed it. And then getting all the updates, you know, just seeing the progression of the game, it was really beautiful. Just so spectacularly handled, and I really wish Sonic Team the best in their next title. That's all from me. I know I said earlier that this would be it wouldn't be a 20-minute video, but I really apologize for that. You know, after that, I was like, you know, this video would feel a little bit too short, so I was like, you know, let's add some good things. You know, it would seem like I'm only talking about the negatives of Frontiers, but I'm telling you, there are some really good things about this game. I definitely can recommend it as a first Sonic game or anything like that, you know. But that's all from me. I'll see you guys later. See you in the next video. Ciao.